and blessings. Welcome to another episode of Real Life with Real Talk. I am your girl, Real Talk Tiff.
Yurima Karama.
I'm Safia.
And I am Amala.
Today's conversation, we have a question posed before our panel today. My question for today is, what is a bad bitch? And how does it differ, if it differs, from your everyday, well-known good woman?
I'm not an expert, so I can't tell you what a bitch is, let alone a bad bitch.
I mean,
so
I can
maybe
tell you what a
somebody
bitch
else.
is.
So tell me someone else.
I mean, I can
elaborate.
tell you what a bitch is and what a bitch has always been known as,
Okay.
but, you know, what I'm seeing amongst our younger generation, I'll
Yes.
say,
Mhm.
and it is kind of spilling over into our own generation,
Yes.
is these men looking for a bad bitch and these women proclaiming to be a bad bitch. But when I ask the question, what is it? No one is giving me an answer, and Yurima's laughing.
So Yurima, as a male, the only male on this panel today, if you were indeed the type of man that was in search of a bad bitch, what are the characteristics that you would be looking for in said person? Or said bitch?
Well. First of all, let's define because there's a few things that are going on here.
Okay.
Because now remember, and I make this comparison between the N word, and now we're talking about the B word. We've tried to make that N word a positive. People have.
Yes,
Now
there
I
are
don't
people
use
who
it.
have done that.
So a bad bitch might be saying, hey, this isn't necessarily a negative. Which means that, I mean, how do you define a bad bee? In this climate, a bad bee might be all the exterior beauty, what you define as being a beauty. So Nicki Minaj might be a bad bee, but Nicki Minaj is also a self-made woman.
Okay.
She's got her own. She's independent. She don't need no man. Or
And she's
a
a
bad.
plastic-made woman.
She.
See,
There is a difference to me personally.
We're gonna put
Now
that.
let's go back. because
New
something-
topic.
Something that you said that really, really radiated with me. And what radiated with me is the fact that you distinguished. You said the N word, and then you said the B word.
right.
You are amongst very few that do that because they can say the N word and then say bitch. So the N word has this kind of silent connotation that it's not supposed to be uttered, but it's okay to call you a bitch.
You mean nigga?
But it's okay to call you a bitch. Yeah, that one. And so I love the fact that you distinguish between the two. Because you was like, okay, if it's an N word and it's not supposed to be audited, it's not supposed to be audible, then neither is the B word. I love that. Let's continue. And define to us what a bad bitch is.
Well, I mean, okay, from a man's perspective, we keep it real. This is real life with real talk. So from a man's perspective, you walking by, you got the tight black spandex on, you got the chest showing, there's about 3 of us standing or walking, we see you, we turn around, damn, that's a bad bitch. Everything is external.
Not a beautiful woman.
That's a bad bitch.
Well,
Everything is external. Now, I'm talking from a man's perspective.
Okay.
I'm in a man's body, so everything
I
is
get it.
external. Now, the comparison between the good woman and it could be argued. It could
Before
be
you go there,
argued
I
from
want
the
you to go there.
man.
No, I want to hear this.
No,
I
because
got some
I want to see. I want her
definitions.
to.
I did some
say
research on
Yes.
it. So
Before we go to the woman,
Okay.
let's-
yeah, I did some research.
Okay, research.
Because when I was hearing, this term, ooh, she's a bad, and everything, I'm like, okay, what is so special about this word? And why all of a sudden there's a subculture of friends, 2 girls calling each other bees?
That's my bitch.
That's right.
What is that all about? So,
No.
I looked up. I went to the Urban Dictionary
Okay.
because I felt like that would be the epitome of finding exactly what it meant. And it said an ambitious woman that knows what she wants, looks good, and then it started going into all these different attributes. And I said, wait a minute, doesn't that sound like the same description as a virtuous woman?
No. Wow. So they
And so it's the whole not bad meaning bad, but bad meaning good.
And that's my point.
And
That's
bitch meaning woman and woman meaning bitch.
Yeah, just like the Lupe Fiasco song.
You've been wrong all along, girlfriend.
How dare I think I want to be a woman? I need to be a bitch.
Yeah.
I need to desire.
But
Because they have 4 legs.
Yeah, I don't
And to
desire
go
that
into
name
heat.
to
And to be
describe
able
who I
to
am.
copulate with anything.
No, honey.
At the time of heat.
But again, they put the twist on, like they like the N word is not negative in this culture. It's supposed to be a positive.
Yeah, but
it's always negative.
It's always negative, but
Nah.
depending on the tone of voice that you
The
use it
context.
in. Like yo, that's my nigga. Or yo, you's a bitch ass nigga. The tone of voice, like, damn, she's a bad bitch. Or
Okay,
like,
so
damn, you's a
when
bitch,
you're talking
man.
to her about a female, yes it is. When you're talking about a female, calling her a bad bitch is a compliment. But if you're talking to a male and you call him a bitch ass nigga, it's an insult.
You sound like Riley.
I'm trying to understand.
Look. My point is from a conscious point of view.
Consciousness and
is
bitch in
that
the same conversation.
From conscious point of view, and we have to be able to separate, because that's how. I do a lot of mentoring, so you have to be able to connect with the younger generation. So from a
Right.
conscious standpoint, I don't use either word.
Okay.
From a conscious standpoint, the
Okay.
word nigga, it don't taste right in my mouth.
Okay.
The word B doesn't taste right. However, there are occasions when both words are appropriate, and there are occasions when
Yes, there are.
when you have to dialogue or disseminate information, and in order to get a point across to the younger generation, you have to be able to
Use words that they
use
recognize.
words that they recognize. So it could be stated like, yo, yeah, we recognize. Okay, let's define a good woman. And an average man might say, well, why can't I have both? Why can't I have the bad bitch and the good woman? I want the bad bitch that looks good, has the ass, has the breast, has all the assets, and she's a good woman. She goes out, she goes and does her thing. She works, she cooks, cleans, whatever. She takes care of home. We take care of each other. So that's my good woman, but she's also my bad bitch.
So that's equivalent to having a freak at home and the lady in the street. Kind of, sort of. You want that to give the appearance of, you want other people to say, oh, she's a bad bitch. But you need to know in your heart that she's a good woman.
It
Is that
just
what you're
sounds
saying?
like
It's something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that.
saying
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure I understand.
when you say it, it sounds like a female issue as opposed to a male issue. It sounds like men don't care.
But
As long as
no,
as
you
long as
women,
the
you
goods
women
are
don't
being
care.
delivered.
You women don't care because you've done the same thing with the B word as people have done with the N word. You
Yes.
have flipped it around and
Yes.
said, that's my bitch.
I agree with that.
You've turned it around and made it a positive. So that validates everything that maybe a man, an unconscious man, was
Okay.
thinking and demonstrating in the first place. Now
Like
he's
permission.
outright with it. Like, yo, they call
bitches
themselves
together,
bitches.
so they bad together.
And,
Okay.
it goes on the same line
I don't
of
like it.
bad bitch,
Right.
boss bitch, head bitch, all of that. I don't, me personally,
Because
I have an
the
issue with that.
HNIC used to be what people aspired to. Everybody wanted to be the HNIC in the 70s and the 80s.
And so the issue is it what they call us or what we aspire to be? Is it more of what the characteristics that
But
we
that's
ascribe
what
upon
raised the
ourselves?
question, because a lot of our daughters are aspiring to be bad bitches.
FYI, mine's is not.
Mine is not
We
either.
raised the queens and
But
princesses
since he
in my
said
domain.
y'all woman and included everybody,
It's definitely
our daughters,
saturated.
because
That
I
is
may not have
definitely
birthed
exposed
you,
to our
but as a
children.
woman, I am obligated. When you're in my circle of influence, young girls are my daughters, because ours is the village. Am I not right?
Yes, you are. So let me ask you a question.
Yes.
We're in a situation where we all have either raised children, in the process of raising children, or mentor young
Yes.
children. And when we're talking about females, if a child asks you, and we're talking about a child between the ages anywhere between 7 and 11, and we're going to the
Impressionable.
teen, yes, and they say, Mommy, what's a bad BITCH?
I don't know, my baby, because we're good women. No,
Okay, so
that's
mommy,
the
what?
standard
That's
response.
the standard response. Break it down, because mommy, what's a good woman? That's our next question. Mommy, what's a good woman? How do you describe that? What do you tell that child? What do you tell that young lady that is beginning to formulate in her mind the difference between the two? She's trying to decide what to aspire to be.
Well, then I go back. I mean, I like how Yarima broke it down early on, that one is external. One is a focus on the appearance of, whereas one is the cultivating of the character.
Okay,
One is the roots, and one is the fruits.
I have to stop you there.
But why?
Because listen, I have to stop you there because I want clarification on something.
Okay.
And so, if I am concentrating on the internal,
Uh-huh.
does that mean I could be 450 pounds with one tooth?
If your internal is tight, 450 pounds will never appear on your external.
Why not?
Because you would be.
It's my character, right?
Your character is health conscious.
Mm-hmm.
Your character is aware of what you're putting into your body. A good woman is conscious of what she's feeding her family. She's conscious of what goes into what she's putting in front of her family. She's conscious of when you eat, how you eat, why are you even eating right now?
And the reason that I brought that up is because a lot of us believe it's either external or internal. It's an either or versus an and. And a lot of people have that mentality that I can't be a bad bitch and a good woman. So
Okay.
can we be both?
Well, how about I be a good woman and attractive?
An attractive good woman?
instead of.
Well, let's
that whole-
define what a good woman is, because from a man's standpoint, we're only going to acknowledge what a woman accepts. So we're only going to come into the realm of an unconscious man is only going to come into the realm of a woman who he considers to be a bad bitch. He's only going to be able to get into her realm if she allows it.
Okay.
And so if she allows it, then he says my assessment must be right. A good woman who's demonstrating spirituality, you're not even going to be able to get into her cipher. So even if an unconscious man thinks it would never be acknowledged because she don't demonstrate those type of qualities in the first place. So she's not letting no sucker into her arena because she carries herself in a certain way. And so even an unconscious man is going to be able to define, even if he says, damn, she's a bad bitch, that's going to
not
stay
gonna
with
say it to
him.
her.
He'll never say it to her because she carries herself on a different level. And that's the
what
difference.
brings up the question, because now you're saying men see it this way. She's a bad
Not all
bitch.
men.
Those that we're referring to see this. Oh, she's a bad bitch. But now you're saying, as a woman, we're the gatekeepers of whether or not they can say it to us.
Absolutely. I have friends who will never say my nigga to me because they know I don't get down like that. They would never say that to me.
I know.
Never. And I've been in situations with non-friends. I've been in mentoring situations where the kids they would never call me nigga.
So it comes down to the energy that you exude.
Absolutely.
And I agree with that.
Absolutely.
Because I say that because I have been in situations where a guy will approach me based on the bitch characteristics of the external only. Is like, oh. But then they sit down and have a conversation with me and they're like, oh.
Okay.
And it changes their dialogue, and you watch the shift in the dialogue as it begins. It's like, oh, you approach me like, yo, what's up, shorty? But by the end of the conference, you're like, Empress. It was nice speaking with you.
It was nice speaking with you.
And so it comes
Let me
into, let's go
pronounce
back to
my
back, what you
T's
said.
and R's.
It's because it comes back to what we allow as women. And sometimes we need to understand how to allow men that are not so conscious into our realm. In order to allow us to speak something into their lives that will transform them into referring to us as women versus bitches. And
But
it
see-
may be one conversation.
that starts with the child, though, like you said earlier.
But let's step away from that. Let's take the men out of the equation. Because the women are calling each other bad bitches. The women are calling themselves bad bitches. Do we need to be concerned?
Yes, we do. We need to invite those
Why?
women. We need to invite those women
If
into
it's
our realm.
just-
It's just like we do the men.
Okay.
Sis, they could come at you. You a bad bitch. Da 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 da. You my bitch, and we have a conversation. By the end of that conversation, it should be like, sis, thank you. I appreciate the dialogue, but it's all about what we do to transform that mentality. See, we keep saying it on the outside of us. They are our women. We're doing A, B, and C, but we're not trying to transform them. We're like, okay,
are we out of touch with the generation though?
I don't think so.
Maybe the generation doesn't need to have these other words, empress, sister, queen. Maybe bitch is what they aspire to. Should we be trying to change their conscience?
We shouldn't be trying to change it, but we need to be able to expose them to other levels of presenting themselves
Thank you for saying
in very different ways.
Thank you for saying
Because we're limited. I think we get used to the bad bitch because that's all we know in a specific dialect, in a
Okay.
specific culture. So let me expose you to other ways to express yourself that exude those same qualities that you consider a bad bitch.
And you
Well,
can
it
say it in
was-
front of your mama.
It was the word
Unless
was
mama
still,
thinks she a bad bitch,
the
then you
word
got
was,
issues.
the word was still taboo. The word was still taboo. Regardless of all that, the word was still taboo until it was condoned and pushed by Lil Kim, Nicki Minaj. So that's what you defend against.
So it's the music's fault?
It's the culture's
Absolutely,
fault.
culture.
Hip-hop culture.
When Kim said she's a bad bitch, when she brought that out.
Correction, she's the baddest bitch.
Yeah. When she said that,
Queen.
and then when Nikki took it a step further, that's what you're up against. That's why you teach from the womb to the grave, man.
I definitely
Because
agree
they're
with that.
definitely going to be exposed to that. But yes, we have to teach them that. And there might be songs that they like even to hear, to listen to
Yeah.
rap. We have to be conscious of that. We have to be truthful and honest about that. That they're going to be attracted to those things. So we need to give them that balance. For them to be able, teach them how to be independent thinkers
Yes.
instead of following.
Yes.
That's what I teach my daughters all the time because I know they're going to be exposed to all this.
Yes.
They're going to be everywhere they go. They're going to be exposed to these things. But the home is where you can teach them the real education of this is really what it is. There's words queen, empress, princess. All these beautiful words and then all these adjectives
Yes.
to give flavor to who you are.
All right.
Not just a bitch.
And so
All
as
right.
parents, I think we are more of filters. We have to create the filters in our children so that they will be able to separate the two. These are the characteristics of this is the characteristics of that. Using my filter that my mom, my dad instilled into me, how do I distinguish which one I want to aspire to be?
Okay.
And you
Well,
have to
let
be
that-
honest. You have to break it down for them.
Yes.
You have to be honest. Let them know what the real definition of a B is. Let them know what the real definitions are
Yes.
of a good woman. You have to break that down. Kids
All right.
understand.
Yeah.
And that is real life with real talk. Peace.
Thank you.